Ladies and gentlemen, we have the man of the hour in the house, Willie Soon, Dr. Willie Soon, astrophysicist, and now sensation after he was on Tucker Carlson just the other day. Willie has been
worthy. I'm not worthy.
Willie is a friend of the channel, and you and I sat down to dinner at the 2 years ago at the ICCC in Las Vegas.
Right. Vegas.
All right, so I want to talk about a few things. Your instant fame. There are now over 7 million views of that interview in just 24 hours, and you hit a lot of cool topics. You talked about fossil fuels in space, and I'd like you to recap that in just a few minutes.
Sure.
You talked about global warming through history, and then you talked about outside forces ruining science, and Lee and I talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
And then at the end, I loved it. You capped it with the evidence of God. So welcome to the show, Willie. We love you.
Okay, thank you. Well, I really like Diamond and Leah. Of course, you guys are the best. I mean, you always send people that come. I was sent by Diamond, and many people come. It was very nice. So you have a very good team. I think you guys are moving as a whole, so it's a very good. It's a movement. We need certain coherence. The problem is that if you get too diffuse, we can never beat those devils. I mean, they are really powerful. They got infinite resources. And we just, even no matter how intelligent you are, I kind of sometimes get very tired because we're just fighting each other left and right. Oh, this is not right. Willie shouldn't be talking about abiogenic oil, this and that. I've been getting so much complaint already. I just laugh myself away. What are you guys doing? We can talk about this. I hope you don't mean censorship. I told those guys, what the heck you're talking about? Of course I should be able to free to talk about this. Not because I'm just randomly shooting my mouth. Everything that I do, it went through this filter first.
Right.
I have studied this thing. I talk to the expert here. I talk to geologists. I talk to, anybody who has some good information. I will try to grab it. I mean, try to get as much as possible. So.
I mean, this is the essence of good science, right? We talk to all of the sources from all of the perspectives. We gather all of the data. We don't cherry pick anything.
Right.
And unfortunately, that's not a rigor that's being celebrated today by any means.
Right. It is really very essential before you speak on any subject. I mean, it's just so crazy. No one knows what is the climate. And then everybody is like shouting left and right. They all have title, climate scientists. But what is the climate? You tell them, you ask them, they can never give you the proper definition. This is part of the crisis that we have in this scientism, right? Prevailing over any other specific issues that you want to address. All of them are just blowing bubbles in the mouth, very embarrassing in my view. But unfortunately, they are a bit powerful, and then they have the microphone. I mean, that's why this exceptional event by Tucker, I don't know how the heck he found me. All I know is that I got a note and I couldn't believe myself. And then I was asking one of my friends, Joe Bastari. I hope you should invite him on your talk. He's the crazy.
We love
really
Joe.
Everything. He is the one that been on the Tucker show. So I checked with Joe. Joe, is this a real guy? Is this the same contact you got? He confirmed yes. Then I know it's a real thing. Or else I thought it's a hoax.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. I'm sure a lot of people aren't going to get this information. In order to go on his show, you've got to go up to New England and go to his house. How was the security? How was the facility? And I heard that he took like a dozen people from Fox News with him that are now working on his property with his show.
Right. Here, because it's winter, so we are moving to Florida. So I was in Florida, not Maine.
Okay.
Right? So summer, everybody goes to Maine, I think. Now it's Florida.
Oh, so he's got 2 studios.
I think so. Yeah. Okay. It's a very nice place. It's beautiful. A very, very beautiful area. And I didn't see too many people. Yes, he has most of the crew that he has are all from Fox News.
Okay, cool.
So, and those teams are very good because, for example, this afternoon, I realized that they have something posted on YouTube. And then they, because my bad pronunciation, my Chinglish and so on and so forth, whatever. I should spell a series. It's CERES, buddy. Goddess of agriculture, I mean, I thought everybody is educated about this sort of thing, but what the heck, right? I don't really care. It's okay. Slow down. You will find Willie soon. He will explain to you slowly. But anyway, I was asking them to put this link because my pronunciation is pretty bad. Everybody was asking, where's Willie's workplace, place and all that. Quickly, within 2 minutes, they put it in. That's how good this team.
Yeah, and in 15 years, Willie, your English has gotten exponentially better. Yeah, it's way good. Trust me.
I told you I dream in Shakespeare at night. Okay.
Well, until you drink a half a Coors Light, and then it's all downhill.
So, it's not a random dream, dude. I have a purpose in life. Just kidding.
All right. So if you don't know about Willie Soon, we just confirmed this. I tried to bring up his Harvard page. He has been scrubbed from Harvard in just the last few hours.
No, 2 hours, 1 or 2 hours. Yes.
Crazy. So you can't. They're literally erasing Willie Soon because of how bold. And Willie is so humble. He was so bold to go on Tucker to tell the truth that they now have to probably do their best to erase him.
Right. Maybe a bit of history. I was there for 31 years, starting as a postdoc, then a staff position, which means I have a permanent position. I don't really have to leave. But unfortunately, the circumstances is pretty bad. They wanted to ask me to shoot myself in this poison, so I refused. And that's about it. I just don't want to give more trouble. I just got too much headache because I would not be able to go on Tucker Carlson's show, actually. Because I mean, since 2009, my life was in hell, basically, working in that place. Every place I go, I need to paperwork, application, have to write and get the approval. Simply because I cannot afford the air tickets, I cannot afford all these things. That's all. I mean, I don't ask for anything. I don't want honorary. I don't want anything. Somebody had to pay for me. I'm bankrupt, And you may have heard the joke about feeding my 3 kids. It's true. Really, I had to feed 3 kids. What am I supposed to do? So irresponsible? No. I had to work. We have to get paid somehow. Anyway,
so the problem you're describing is that the funding for the research you're doing is non-existent.
Yes, very small. Nothing. It's just whatever that I can scrap. And then, but it's good. I was happy, except things become not very pleasant. It's always this and that, secretary shouting at you where all the pay come from my, what you call the overhead charges and all that stuff. So it's very unpleasant. So there are a lot of smart, good people there, but it's becoming very strange. A scientific institution don't want to talk about science. I mean, I can give you an example. The director hate my guts. Okay, his name is Charles Alcock, but now I don't believe it's him. But he hated my guts. But he had never called me once to ask about anything about science. It's always about why you get on this show, why you get on this. What the heck is this, man? Do I look like somebody who wants to be rich or whatever? I just want to know science. I say anything wrong, I always say I'm willing to correct that because everything those guys put out there. Remember, I'm an active scientific researcher, which means you really battle them in the scientific publication. You argue, you show models, you show calculation, you show evidence. I mean,
you were one of the most published scientists coming out of that outlet, and they hated you. That makes zero sense.
Well, I mean, it's a perfect example of the pressure that all scientists are facing to conform to some kind of narrative. I mean, you discussed this earlier about how powerful these people are. It's not just the censorship, but it happens in the research funding. And then it happens again in terms of institutional pressure on research scientists to produce a certain narrative, to not go in this show, to go on this show, to preserve. Yeah. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And because none of this, all of this gets in the way of science.
Right. Because I can tell you a few simple true story. I was on NASA review committee, proposal review committee. That's pretty good position. I've been invited, but I only been invited once. And then when you know why I got not invited again, when I was in there, I was asking too many questions. They just got a headache out of me, but I have no choice. It's a sense of duty. Yeah. They are basically patting on each other back. That's it. Whoever that pat on the guy's back, they are supporting each other. Those guys get the grant approved. And then people like me would not get the thing approved because I asked too many questions.
That's beautiful.
A lot of the thing they support. This is why I make a statement on the show, Tucker show, which is to say that I believe 80 to, I would say even higher, 90% of the publication today on the issue of climate should never, ever be published because the quality is so bad.
Yeah, and
Sing to high heaven. I mean, that sorry that I don't want to perpetuate the myth. Science is really valuable. It's important. But the problem now is that we're literally putting shit on our face and still saying, yeah, I'm so nice, I'm so good. And hell, man, that is bad. That is really bad. That's not good. That is really not good. Laughing aside, but these people are that crazy.
The entire world, Willie, is being controlled by a trace gas that's plant food that is a benefit to Earth, that humans barely affect at all the amount that's produced because the oceans release the carbon dioxide, and carbon dioxide is a factor of the climate itself, not affecting the climate directly, meaning it's not the control knob. There's everyone thinks that carbon dioxide somehow is a control knob. If we spend $1 billion and we scrub it all out, the temperature will change. This is a false premise. The false premise of climate science, the new version, is complete non-science. It is propaganda and garbage.
You summarize the state of the science in that few sentences. That's the truth. Because really, I seriously mean it. When I was starting all this, you were really entertaining all the ideas and possibility. You calculate, you check this, check that, and it just amount to nothing. After 30 some years is very long time, you know. I mean, you cannot say that I didn't really study this issue. You really look at it. You're trying to make it possible, but it's not possible. And it's just all the thing that they say, all the statement. And then not only that, now they're able to coach this into the climate model. Holy cow, hell break loose. I mean, endlessly now they don't talk about evidence anymore. Don't talk about any measurements anymore, because measurement, you can adjust them. They just
You're all adjusted.
Model output, always about the future that you never need to verify. Always about the future.
Well, have you heard about the work Tony Heller's doing with this new computer model to take the actual data, and he's going to be exposing it over the next year?
Yes. He's improving his skill on the GACN version 4. Yes, we are onto the version 4 ourselves, of course. I've done a lot on the thermometer works over the last 10 years, and we make all the major progress to exactly come up with the point. Because I don't know if you know, but in October or September, we published 2 papers back to back that basically demonstrate for the first time that it's not.
Of course, he just cut out.
Show the phenomenon of urban heat island effect.
Right. I mean, and Jennifer Morahasi has been working on this over in Australia as well.
Many people have worked on it. But we actually kind of go through the whole thing, and the most painful process is, of course, trying to get the station history metadata. Those are hard to get. And then, but when we got successful with some European colleagues, 800 stations, we got all the information. And you check again their so-called computer algorithm, the homogenization methods. So this is basically forcing neighboring stations to all agree with each other. But during that process, they contaminated the whole thing. So we actually are the first few who say those so-called urban blending phenomenon, which means the rural station all got contaminated. They cool the urban a little bit. That's what they always claim. Oh, we are so honest. They cool that, but you realize in the process of this blending, they actually warm the rural station, and there are far more rural stations around. This is part of the problem. We have proved that definitive phenomenon, and we published about 4 papers now. And those are very important because you put on the record now. Oh, yeah, they give us hell during the peer review process. But heck, we'll fight to the end. But the problem is that sometimes it's very tiring because those guys are not being reasonable, and then the editor are not being reasonable. So this is a power review system, another gangster approach in science that is terrible. I think people need to know these people are that bad. Okay? Wow. I mean, if I were to be in charge, man, because I'm not afraid of being wrong. That's the problem. They are actually now hindering, they are controlling the science, actually output. Then this is the thing that really bothers them the most, because we keep publishing, we keep arguing to the best argument where they have to back off. It's a bit too much light for them to take. In that sense, this is how hard we work. I mean, I feel very proud because by the way, it's not me. I have to mention some of my colleagues named Ronan Connolly, Michael Connolly. These are geniuses of all time. I mean, even the guy by the name of Peter O'Neill. It's so amazing. Let me tell you the story of Peter O'Neill. The reason why we can do a lot of this work on thermometer data is this, okay? All the thermometers data gathered by World Meteorological Organization comes in through NOAA, Okay, because Noah is the only one that have resources to try to combine them and spit it out. Okay, and then but then in the process they put in some filter, so to call it homogenization, whatever it is that they have, right? And then they spit it out. And Peter O'Neill was very only interested in like 1 or 2, 3 stations in Ireland. Okay, but since about 2012, he started collecting them. Every time they update, like every few days or even daily, he collect them. He ended up with 3,000 version of this thing. And then
Wow.
you know what that means? That means it's deadly for those guys, because we found out, he was so shocked that every version from Tuesday to Wednesday, it changed how they homogenize, because they use computer algorithm without checking with the actual station history metadata. This is how mad this whole thing is. This is why when we actually catch them in real time on such a fine resolution basis, I mean, they had to back off. That's why we published that famous paper in 2022 on 800 European stations. We show that it's only 20% of the time they can agree with actual happening, when they adjust with computer versus the actual observation, we kind of track them. So if we have all the information, we can do this for the first time. By the way, this is a job that they are supposed to do. It's not me. I have no business doing this. I was just fed up. I want to know what the hell is happening. But Peter O'Neill is the one, is the hero of this story, because we just basically just hustlers just hang around doing something. But together, we work together. We were able to convince those guys are all, maybe after I talk about this, those guys will not join us anymore. So I hope not.
So your paper, let's get this clear. Your paper, basically, because I showed it on the show as soon as you emailed it to me, it concluded that almost 70 to 80% of all warming in the homogenized data could be due to the urban heat island effect, which is called bullshittery. It's not science.
It's bad. It's really not good. I mean, and then all we do is that we provide the alternative. Just take rural only station. That's completely different story in terms of how you attribute, what is causing this. Of course, there's a good possibility, not a certainty, that it's the sun that is doing it, because there's still complex on the sun's perspective. Well, it depends on your level of evidence you want. I have to be more rigorous as a scientist. And so I'm very happy to not push too hard, because fact is fact. There is no gold medal to win here. Do you understand? When you're facing truth and God, that's all you have.
Yeah. I mean, your description of
always remember that.
Your description of calling it gangster science is perfect, right? Because literally what's happening is that it's a circular reasoning. We're starting with a conclusion and then adjusting the data to match that conclusion. It's completely insane. I mean, we literally have a group of people that it's like truth versus power, right? You got a bunch of people that want power, and so they're manipulating the science and all the information and all of the data, and the rest of us just want to get to the truth. That's it. That's the only motivation. It's totally crazy.
And I do have to say one more thing, which is, in the papers that we published about October or September of 2023, of course, it's bad for them in a sense. It's not good or bad. It's just, for me, it's just something we have to do. The point is that every temperature curve that they show that have this warming trend, we are able to produce exactly fit them exactly. But the secret is, you have to put in the urban station data.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
That is not a challenge. And this is why they're always pounding on the chest. How many of us, we're all great scientists from this institution, from Japan, from China, from whatever, all agree. So smart. I mean, this is the problem with these people. They are always so overselling their nonsense. It's not even work. Those things you can sleep and do it. I mean, no intellectual advances, no nothing. Always just taking copy of this version and averaging them. My God, you have a computer. You can, of course, average them. These people, I don't even know where is their soul of science there. There's no science here. It's so simple. And that's why we can produce them easily. But the hard part is to ask the question, what does this data mean? It doesn't mean anything. It's contaminated because it's all urban heat island. In fact, you're not measuring the climate that you're supposed to explain by, either. They introduce the concept of radiative forcing, what I mean? That sort of thing. And those are all this is why it's so deceptive in that sense. They claim that the model can explain all of this, but it's pure nonsense. Well, we show that the model can explain also all our ruralization if you use ruralization, right? Oh yeah, this is very cold now.
Let's talk about the 45-year low temperatures in Lapland, record snow. Greenland yesterday gained 8 gigatons of ice and has been in record territory for 3 years. We're at a 19-year high for Arctic ice extent.
Right.
And it seems like the climate is shifting as it always does, but the media can only probably avoid this for so much time. And Lee and I talked last weekend on our show that about 6 days ago, when these models started coming in about the extreme cold coming to Canada in the next 5 days, dropping into the US, they started publishing headlines saying that global warming causes cooling.
Yes, of course. Yeah, that has been applied. No, and in the process of this extreme cold, we know that like the whole city of Oslo, my friend just reported to me. I mean, they make all their buses electric buses, 100%.
Yeah, they're all stopping.
I mean, these are so stupid. I mean, a really stupid thing. None of them is working.
Well, and then it's at this other level that's completely insane, where like the general public, even if you point out, let's say, things that don't work, like the problems with electric cars, or like I got into an argument with somebody about the ability to have an electric car where we live, and we're in an extremely rural location. We're up high in the mountains. It gets extremely cold, and like they don't realize, even when you explain it to them, that kind of cold zaps batteries in a way that you can't really overcome, and it makes it completely impractical. And you throw that out there, and people have become so brainwashed that they won't even accept that information. Like they can't even take that.
This is the problem. I mean, it's really a bit of a religion. I mean, this is the kind of problem that we're facing, right? People are not only ignorant, and then they are totally committed to their, I don't know, this sort of dangerous kind of propaganda that's been told to them. This is the danger part of it. They have actually huge chunk of gray matter in their head, but they don't think. They don't. It's bad. It's kind of bad. A lot of them are really hoodwinked for a very long time. It's very hard for them to recover. I don't know how to deal with this. All I know is that you can kind of talk more gently, more kindly, showing them, perhaps persuade them to start thinking about data. I mean, start talking like that. Because after all, too much of a joke like me, trying to ridicule them is also like kind of, it's not going to work. The point is that there is still a lot of a big chunk of middle ground people that I think can be persuaded. Can be persuaded by truth.
The problem is 35 straight years of propaganda inside.
Yeah.
Well, and it's also, I would argue, it's even psychological trauma, right? Like people have been told again and again and again that they need to be incredibly afraid. And they've also been told that it's their fault. It's literally their fault for existing and breathing and exhaling some teeny amount of carbon dioxide. And they take that in and they believe that. And I think that's part of the reason why people are so set on this, because it's been like traumatized into them.
Understand. Yeah. This is the kind of thing that is a bit difficult, especially on now. I still don't understand anybody who put mask on their face. That's a lot. That's quite a lot. Those guys are damaged, actually. I mean, they don't even think anymore. They don't understand, They cannot reason. I mean, that's a very dangerous thing when you have the whole society like this. I mean,
well, not only that, but we have scientists who can no longer, scientists in quotes, I'm now putting.
Exactly.
Can't reason. I mean, just the number of like climate papers that Diamond and I have reviewed that don't make any sense, have no scientific rigor whatsoever.
Right.
It's mind blowing to me that there's so much of that.
The number of what you call climate model based paper keep increasing, disproportionate. I mean, they keep publishing just purely on climate model that is of no use or whatsoever. But these people is like what you call mental exercise. Basically doing that. I mean, some kind of very smart. Oh, yes. I mean, but it's just
I think you pointed it out quite well. we need a multidisciplinary approach, and that's period. That's how science works.
Yeah,
Or we're
yeah,
never
yeah.
going to get to the bottom of anything. And the fact that the leaders in the fake climate science regime, like Michael Mann with his hockey shtick,
Right.
he's blocked you. So there's not even dialogue between the so-called climate deniers and the so-called climate modelists.
Right, right.
So the global warmists use their fake models that don't show anything except what they put in, garbage out. And those of us that are like myself, a paleoclimatologist that knows about long-term cycles and nested hierarchy of cycles and things like that, we're conspiracy theorists because we're actually looking at the data set that goes back throughout geologic history. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah. And they ignore all of those things, and it's just a very dangerous thing, actually. Like, I don't know why. How did it? It's just crazy. I mean, it's terrible. I think it's exactly part of the problem. I think from the very early on is about the amount of money available, and these people are just abusive, very abusive type. And there's no rigor. No rigor. I told you I was on this NASA committee. I can see it. That was in the 2000, and I look at it. I went through this. Man, it's strange, actually. It's strange. They are just basically cheering each other, and then whoever that is in the cheering squad all get approved. I mean, guy like me didn't get my paper. No way I get funding. But after that, I give up. Also, I say forget it. I don't want this kind of funding.
So
like
why do they refuse to include the sun in their climate models? It's
that's what I want to
because
know.
they no longer work.
Well, it's serious and not serious. They basically don't have much in it. They are, it's like playing games. Toy game, and then they don't really have the full effect. That they were not ready to assess these particular effects because the model is just simply not ready. It's such a artificial form where just the difference between the heat capacity of the water and air is enough of a problem. I mean, in the until now, all of these are fudge factor. I just want to tell you, the model, if you let to run, let's say, atmosphere, air by itself, and ocean, separate, and then you couple them. And then you try to let the model run with no forcing or whatsoever. It's always drifting, slowly losing mass. So it's no mass conservation. When you don't have mass conservation, first thing you cannot do is that you could never understand anything about sea level. Okay. So all of this, many problems. These are all known since the 90s, since the 2000, nothing fixed. I remember I wrote a major review paper in 2001, and I was able to publish with the what you call a rector of St. Petersburg University, Kirill Kondratyev, a very famous man. But anyway, published that paper. People were so angry. Why are you doing that? I say, you know what? I traced back to 1970s, those problems. And then in 2001, it's still not fixed. You can bet that 2023. I'm telling you, man, I'm willing to bet my arms. You can chop it off if I make that mistake. If they fix the problem, none. There's no chance. With the way they're going, it's crazy. In 2006, I got a paper by Gavin Schmidt, NASA Goddard Gish Institute for Space Study. It took me about, I don't know, more than a year to find what is their base model and how do they actually run and what does the thing always say. They actually drifting. They actually drifting, and here's a problem. I remember, and the ice is being built. Too much ice are being built up in Antarctica and Greenland, as ice sheets. Then they say because the mass is imbalanced, we have to drop some water into the ocean. That affects the ocean circulation artificially. They got that problem. I found out that they actually have that. It's 2 or 3 times more than the actual observation. So they tune it by dropping water. I mean, this is NASA Gish model. Gavin, hello, Gavin. Gavin don't agree with Willie Soon. He has already debunked Willie Soon's work. So Wikipedia keeps saying that. And I could never change those things. Wikipedia keep putting the line is so irritating, Gavin. But Gavin never want to debate you. He only like to write on his real climate. And then when we write, the other day, the September and October 2023, when we published the 2 papers, they thought they can have a quick hit and run on Willie Soon again. Oh, so all my work are debunked, the usual thing. And then, but this time I have helper, my good friend, Dr. Ronan Connolly and Michael Connolly. He wrote like, 3 pages. We wrote like 50 pages back.
Yeah, it was great. The rebuttals were fantastic because
and he's quiet since then. Why are you quiet? Let's talk.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
Let's talk. I mean,
Yeah.
now I point out, now I openly challenge him because I can point to the paper, chapter and verses exactly because I know where it is now. But it took me a long time to find that. I mean, I'm very fast, very quick. Believe me, anything cannot be hidden from me. But I take me a long time to find the fact that this model was like this. They have imbalances, in
Crazy.
terms of the hydrology and the mass and ice mass. It's the problem. And then tell me, well, how you improve it? They will always say, oh, we improve, we change. You check in detail, always is all the nonsense. It's all the excuse. Like they always say, oh, my version 3 is better than the version 2. How? Why? And what did you actually improve? Nothing. I mean, it's always the same. The next year, because we got another budget, oh, version 4 is better now. How? It's all nonsense. It's all nonsense because you can just about the tune to try to say that I agree with some precipitation feel better or some temperature feel better. Then it looks all impressive. These people are really, really fudging like crazy. I mean, it's mad. No wonder I felt that a lot of them are a bit insecure in a sense, right? They are very insecure if you start asking questions. I mean, Gavin is already the prime example. The other day, he was so insecure because Professor Richard Linson, I hope everybody know of atmospheric sciences in MIT. He Professor Emeritus now. He went on a show. And then he criticized. He didn't criticize. He's always a gentleman scientist, He don't talk bad about people. He only make a statement that I don't understand what Gavin has done throughout his tenureship being a director of the Goddard Institute for Space Study. I didn't know any of the major science that he has contributed. He just say that, which is a statement. Okay, Gavin, if you have any major contribution that you have done in the climate science, please show us. We can find it in your publication list. I mean, it's just a title, isn't it? But if you have anything, tell me, what have you solved? He didn't do anything. And then he got mad. Then he demanded that he go on the show with those guys. Those guys let him talk. Let him talk. Okay, go ahead. But he actually ended up not saying anything. It's always about, nah, I'm not gonna appear together with Richard Linson. He don't think much about me, blah, blah, blah. all this weak baby stuff, Come on, Gavin. What's the problem, dude?
Total lack of integrity. Instead, people are focusing on personalities and trying to vilify each other.
Weak baby
they
stuff.
hide under a lot of titles. I mean, that's why I'm not afraid of them. I can tell you, if you want about what Willie Soon has done, I've done a few things. I've done very specific things. I've done, for example, one example that I'm very proud to tell you, and by now I can announce it, but I published a paper in 2017. It's not my work also, but I worked with a guy named Rodolfo Cionso from Argentina. We actually solved the, going around the sun, the orbital configuration changes over the Holocene because it's a hard problem. And the problem is that the last solution that properly published was 1978 by Professor André Berger from Louvain. And during that, he do a circular perturbation. So it's basically, really is relevant for only like, every 1,000 years, every 500 years the most. So what about shorter time scale? What are the changes? We don't know. And not only that, in that particular assumption, Earth and Moon is center of mass system. So there's no distinction between Moon and the Earth. So we're like a twin planet. That is well known in terms of planetary understanding. We resolve the whole thing, right? We have Moon. So no matter, in that kind of solution, any tidal stuff they have is all fake. Do you understand that? People don't understand that. People just thought that they put in the fake stuff, it's already explained everything. Excuse me, that's not how science works. Which means we figure out their assumption, we fix it.
Well, does that explain the Dansgaard-Oeschger cycle?
We have all that component in there, yes. I mean,
excellent.
I think it would explain a lot of these millennia cycles and all that kind of thing, or 500 years, that kind of cycles, right? I mean, this is the kind of thing, and the paper is there. Of course, I still haven't even got time to tell people more about this sort of thing but I knew that aspect need to be solved. But I already produced it, and I'm the first one to ever do this. So I'm sorry, I win. Okay? So Gavin, you cannot say that Willie Soon is this discredited scientist, this and that. I mean, saves just some saliva,
Well, you did get on Tucker.
Show by the publication record and the.
You got on Tucker, Willie, so you do win.
Well, it's crazy. I kind of irritated by him all the time playing the game. In front of other people, he's very humble. Oh, he's humble. He's even want to cry. What's the use of doing science when we are sitting here just to watch all of us jumping into the cliff? I mean, these are all the psychosis that these people are talking about. I mean, basing on their climate models, where's the reality that everybody's going to die tomorrow? These people are just talking crazy.
I mean, there's a reason why your Harvard page was scrubbed in the timing that it was, right? Because they're going to try really hard to discredit you now. Now that you've been on Tucker, they are going to have it
but
out
I'm a
for
free
you.
person now. I don't think they can. As long as people know you guys, as long as people know that I'm doing work and people still willing to chip in here and there.
Yeah.
We'll be
I mean,
fine,
none of it matters. You just keep talking. You keep doing your science, and you keep talking.
I don't
and
really
trying
care
to communicate,
anymore.
and that's all that's important.
I have to tell you, I'm sorry if I may say so. I saw a comment on YouTube that kind of scared me. They say Willie soon will be found dead before prostitute and cocaine line running.
I was going to bring that up, but I didn't want to bring it up.
It was like, damn, I don't want to see that.
Right.
No, please. I like you say. Actually, somebody was suggesting. I don't know if you guys watch Brett Weinstein on Tucker Show. Nearing the end, he kind of say, "I'm not suicidal." First of all,
of course,
I don't want to be like Epstein.
Right.
I simply want to do science, but I cannot sleep if I don't speak out.
Willie, someone came here 5 years ago to try to kill me.
Shit.
Yeah, that was a fun time.
Oh,
that's because we speak truth to science.
Well, also he was a total lunatic, but yeah.
Well, you need to be a lunatic to kill someone, so that's pretty obvious.
True.
No, that's not good. Yeah.
True.
All right, so
Willie, please, I'll come and clean your house. I'll cook you some Chinese food. Don't worry about it. Don't worry, I'll be your slave. I'll cook for you. Yeah, don't kill me. That's all.
Is it true that you're Malaysian and you know something about Flight 370?
Not much. No, I didn't investigate that much, but I was born in Malaysia. Yes, that is a wholly suspicious situation. Yeah, that one is crazy, man. I think that thing is so crazy. I didn't go too deep on that one.
Yeah. Have you seen the 3 orbs flying around it and all
crazy.
that?
Yeah. I saw some of the explanation and things like that. Yes. This is
all right.
Really
how about this? Can we switch the topic? What do you know about Valentina Zarkova?
Oh, sorry, you bring in a very sensitive subject.
Well,
because wait a minute. For the people that don't know, Willie Soon is, I guess, pseudo famous, and I think your best-selling book is about climate cycles in the form of grand solar minimums, the Maunder minimum. Isn't that one of your best-selling books?
Yeah, a Maunder minimum. Yeah. I wouldn't say best-selling. It's just nobody even wants to read them, but it's okay. I wrote a book called The Maunder Minimum because I really want to understand that phenomenon itself. This is the period from 1645 to 1715, right?
Yeah.
Why does a sunspot all of a sudden refuse to appear on the northern hemisphere? There was some. Usually, sunspot will appear basically fairly even north and south, but they are in much higher latitude, 40 degrees or so, and then moving like a butterfly.
And that's the butterfly diagram.
Butterfly wings. Yeah, that's butterfly. Yeah. That's the Maunders. Actually, any Maunder suggested it's the wife that did it. The husband is more like just observer. Okay, so we got to give credit. That book was dedicated to both of them because really she's under she's one of the best students from Girton College that took all these mathematical triples. She got ranked very high. But anyway, she proposed to present it this way. But during Maunder minimum, basically the wing is broken. Right,
the northern hemisphere didn't show anything.
Yeah, the northern showing a very tiny amount. I think I remember Robert Hooke or something saw one, and then they were like writing a major paper on it because that was the rare time. Because indeed, Galileo time they saw a lot, right? They reported it, but of course they didn't keep a very good continuous set of observation. So that's why it's such a puzzling. Because after 1715, things started to come very regular. 11 years, every 11 years you see that. So indeed, that is a very important time to understand. So my book really explore all of that from the theoretical observation to basically all the way to deduce information about this particular period, right? So I wrote a book on that. So I can say that studying a sunspot is my passion. But unfortunately, over the last 15 years, things have gone really, really, really bad. Sorry, I don't want to get into Zarkova yet. If you want, we can talk about it later. But I want to tell you now a really serious problem now in another area of science, study of sunspot. By the way, I just published a very important paper. Here's
Here is the according to the mainstream, the monthly sunspot numbers for the last 3 cycles.
Yes, but anyway, we just published a paper trying to produce the daily group sunspot number. We call it group, which is the much larger size, not the individual one, right? And the reason why I have to start getting into this, but 2022 I published one, 2021 I published my first paper on sunspot. Really, I sit for 20 years, 25 years to wait a chance to publish a good solid paper. So we make a forecast on that one, okay, forecast into the future, and then we do a group sunspot number with the best sunspot historian Douglas Hoyt, okay. And then now we do another third paper. We have another 3 more paper. The reason why I start getting into this is this, because over the last 15 years or so, about 2008 onward, a group of this so-called sunspot expert, yeah, we call them expert, okay, but I kind of don't like the people that call themselves expert. They started to have this idea that the sun must not be the cause of climate change. It's a very strange thing. This sunspot.
I mean, that's the whole
they get into
model right now. No, the sun's not involved, which is crazy.
You know what? There's a major revolution, Diamond. You know, major revolution. They are trying to change the history of the sunspot numbers. Do you know that? You guys didn't know, right?
Well, no. For at least 5, Willie, for 5 years, I've had other scientists and people telling me that the way they're counting sunspots is different and it's giving us incorrect information.
Oh, not true. This is many more tricks involved.
Wow.
I told you the first guy who did this was Douglas Hoyt. He's my good friend.
Yeah.
And we knew this problem. The main guy that started this whole thing was actually a few guys. One guy by the name of Ed Cliver. Sorry, I gotta name names, and these people I don't really care. Come and hit me. I don't know. Liv Southgard. And then the problem is that it's also involved the main place, which is Belgium, Royal Observatory of Belgium. Those guys, Frederick Cleat is the leader. They all group together, have about 5-6 workshops trying to discuss, revisit this whole problem. All different sunspot, different observer, different telescope size, all this thing. But those problems already kind of work out in some sense by Douglas Hoyt. But he was the only one who did this. And then during all these 15 years of meeting, not even one time they invite Douglas Hoyt to get any input. It's always Liv Southgard, those guys driving it. And then in about 2014, they produce what they call the new sunspot record. They start adjusting, moving things up. They make the 1750 to about 800 stuff up so that it doesn't look like there's a gradual, what you call it, a systematic thing from one to minimum. So they don't like that because that could explain the little ice age recovery, right? And they don't like those things. And they started to talk like this. I'm not only based on talk because I caught those guys like Southgard and some of those guys actually mentioned the motivation for the change was because of that. So I documented all of this. I mean, this is why I'd say that, man, it's time to get into the sunspot business. Let's start looking at it. Let's start looking at everything again. Okay? This is what my struggle about the last 5 years has been really trying to.
So wait. Are you saying that they got together to try to dupe the public in some kind of a global warming thing where they're manipulating the data to fit the new narrative?
They started to propose changes to the sunspot record.
Yeah.
And doing that
not for very good reason. Not for very good reason. I just told you their motivation was because they felt that it's a threat if it can be explained, with respect to the climate. So they want to change it. Do you understand the problem now, right? You have already sunspot record that's been established since the time of Rudolf Wolf from 1850, Switzerland, right? Yeah. And then you got the next one, Max Meyer. Those guys are the director of Switzerland, right? And then they switched to Belgium after the guy retired, okay? And then since then, the whole international sunspot number has been doing by that. And then Douglas Hoyt is my friend who's been studying sunspot forever, basically. But he don't have an institution in that sense, but he's studying, but he keep publishing. His group sunspot number is among the most well-known and well-used kind of a time series. Now we come along. Now we revisit everything. Hours now out. I mean, now it's basically whether how to tell people to use ours versus these people, because they adjust the thing.
So my question is how exactly is the data being manipulated, right? Because Diamond, you're saying you're hearing people say that the way we've been counting sunspots is wrong. So what are they saying is wrong about it, and what would be more correct? And then how are they manipulating the historical data specifically?
No, they adjust those data.
They're just
They
adjusting
adjust
the numbers.
up or down. Yes.
Yeah.
They systematically do all of that to try to make sure that the other part is down and then the modern part is up. They're trying to do that thing. They're trying to adjust it. And it's a very bad thing, actually.
Wow.
If you adjust it with a good reason, which the point is, the guy that is a foremost sunspot historian, Douglas Hoy, has been trying to protest, but he had no voice.
Mm-hmm.
They never invite him to any of the meeting since he retired. Of course, he retired very early, about 98. He's still around. He's in West Virginia. I got to give him a drive. And this is the guy that I truly respect. He dedicated his whole life to do nothing but this. Okay. And then almost all his legacy and his work is totally destroyed by these people for no good reason. If it's true reason, okay, fair and game. You know, it's the same thing. Like you adjust the temperature record, you use algorithm, that kind of thing. These people are more or less similar stuff, but I would say lesser of a crime. But I don't know the details yet because I don't know what crazy thing they're doing. But all I know is that they're proposing adjustment. And they're proposing adjustment, and it's very crazy in this state of mind. I mean, this is the longest record we got, 417 years. Right. I mean, it's a very serious one.
And cycle,
do
you agree cycle 24 was the weakest cycle since the Dalton minimum?
Oh, yes, that I agree, yeah.
And 25 now is the solar polar fields have reversed.
Yes.
Last year, this could be one of the shortest solar cycles in 200 years.
Yeah, just be a main guy who predict this high, and then he want it high, and then it's as if that he have an absolute amnesia. The point is this: all the sunspot numbers, any professional would know that you don't do the daily one. He keep plotting the daily and monthly, which is useless. The standard is that if you want to study the curve and the shape, you use the 13-month averages. You don't play trick like this. He wants to make it look like it's going to be high. It's going to be high. Not yet, dude. The fat lady is not singing yet, buddy. Take it easy. I mean, don't be so rushed. Oh, yeah, he's been all over the talk circuit and all the ham radio people all listening to him because he's at ANCA, HAO, High Altitude Observatory. I'm not threatened by those kind of position. Yes, he has some idea. He studied the thing in details. But after all, it's still a forecasting scheme that never been verified of anything. We also have a forecasting. We did forecast also. So 25, we predict about 100, right?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The peak is 100.
Yeah.
We not only that, because we use a shorter, our main predictor is actually the coupling of the 5.5 year, the half cycle, and the 120 years, the long-term modulation of it. So we're able to get the shape also. None of them talk about the timing. We did. Things like that, but we actually did that. I'm not anxious. If I'm wrong, but it's okay. But the problem is that for them to every few days claiming have victory is coming already, and then keep saying that now the NOAA group sunspot. Hold on, buddy, not yet. I mean, I don't know why now science turn into things like this. It's like a circus. It's basically also maybe demand by the public. Sometimes we're all just so impatient. We want instantaneous gratification. We want this and want that. No, wait, the data got to work out first.
So was Hyde one of the astrophysicists claiming that cycle 25 is going to be one of the strongest ever?
I was about to ask about that.
Yeah,
McIntosh, they published in 2020. And then
that was garbage. Just like I mean, I point out to the public that if we go back to the cycle 24 predictions, 99% of everyone was incorrect except for Valentina Zarkova.
Well, that one is later, but the one that he predicts, Scott McIntosh, for cycle 25. He first, when people plot that out and show how high he was predicting, 250. He refused to acknowledge. He said, but he said that in his own paper. It's about 200, 220. Actually,
I thought it was 250, but okay.
Yeah, he was way too high, and then he said, oh yeah, the Terminator event hasn't happened yet. Now they update, they lower to 175. Now. Yeah, it's okay. Give them about, but it's still 175. Now you're trying to make it look like his 175 going to come true. Okay, good for you. Let's wait. Okay. but I maybe, do you want to get into Zakova? I can summarize for you what I think I had problem with her.
Well, she used, and I've had her on the show several times.
I know.
She explained her eigenvectors. She's not using machine learning. She's using calculus. It's actual data. And so give me your point of view.
Okay. First of all her work, I really don't understand any of her work. That's the basic point. Okay. And the problem is that she is not analyzing sunspot number. That's the first thing she cannot do. She was using a lot of this strange concept. It's a measure of the polar field, let's say from the
She's
Wilcox
using magnetic field data. Yeah.
Yeah, Wilcox only. But that doesn't tell you about the sunspots.
No.
That's the problem. And then not only that, most of a forecast, if you look at it, it's not a forecast. I mean, never mind that there is something somewhat personal thing. When I published a paper with my friend Victor Velasco, by the way, I got to give him all the credit. Victor Velasco Herrera from University of National Autonoma, the big school in Mexico City. We published a paper in 2021, and we published the work, have no link or whatsoever to Zakova work. We do our own thing. We show our step, we show how we got it and all that. And you guys, you may want to know this, but I might as well make it public because it's so obvious. She wrote to the journal editor saying that we dishonor her, this and that, we didn't cite her, and then trying to prevent our paper from publishing. That's not cool. So it's okay. So we wrote back. By the way, you want to see those? I send you what we wrote because it's public. I don't really care on this kind of thing. She ought to. I sent it to her too. But of course, not doing that. So that's not cool. And then the other day, I was so irritated because she just published another paper. You know what she did? Sorry, Claudine Gay. She actually copied everything that I wrote in one of our papers, everything, including all those references. Crazy, man. Don't do that.
You saying that she plagiarized you?
Yeah, she doesn't even read that. I'm not making claim. It's there in the paper. It's still there. She changed a few words, but every reference is like she act like she's a sunspot scholar. Do you know what I do? I don't joke around when I say I read a paper from Flamsteed in 1672 or things like that. I go read those things. Those guys they work in a very strange universe. I don't care if you're a mathematician, physicist or not. I know mathematics, I know physics. Sorry for saying a bit too personal, but this is what happened, all this kind of thing. And I'd like you to read the part where I reply to her accusation that we didn't cite her work. And then it will show by itself that I am the one that not doing anything. But the problem is that why would you want to force me to cite your paper? I don't know that. You cannot apply that is not the right attitude, actually. But it's
really unfortunate because, I mean, it seems like this
could
be someone that you could work really well with. I mean, you're
not possible because she's
because I understand. And that's why I'm saying it's really unfortunate.
No, I read all her paper. I've seen her paper from 2015 to all of that. I look at it, it gets worse and worse. In the early days, there are still resemblance of some science. The later one is all turned into some crazy stuff. I mean, especially the one that she wants to get into planetary perturbation. She really doesn't know how to do this right. That's the problem. She essentially thinks that these are elastic ball. I mean, gravitational field doesn't change like that, okay? I mean, she essentially is trying to say that the distance of this sun and Earth could change so much. I think she started to retract her position on those things, but she still says it in her paper, actually, essentially. And that's not possible. The sun-Earth distance, even if we move in an inertial motion, but the thing adjusts by itself, it doesn't change that much. If it's true, this will be the finding of a century. Absolutely is right if she's true. Of course, then people can get into the Velikovsky, but that's a different story. I actually know a lot of these things. I'm not a very guy who just talk about things. I study them.
Well, you just alluded to a paper that you published on the perturbations or orbital dynamics of our solar system or something like that. So my study was on, I used Milankovitch back in the late 80s and early 90s for my climate research because we we saw through actual, I mean, I went to thousands of outcrops across the United States and other places. And what we could map using stratigraphy was a nested hierarchy of cycles where we had 4 or 5 to 1 package of in these shallowing and deepening sequences, and then in other packages. And we alluded to them, you know, corresponding to precession, eccentricity, obliquity, etc. And even longer cycles, like a 1.2 million and a 4 million year cycle in this sedimentary rock. And so we were just using Milankovich's orbital dynamics. But from what I've been researching in the last 10, 15 years, and the work with electric universe, plasma cosmology, the idea of the precession of the equinoxes might not be a wobble of the Earth, but might actually be the Earth, the solar system, precessing in a circular, in a Birkeland current as it moves forward through the Milky Way.
A forward moving spiral, basically.
It's very
motion is.
Do you
very,
know that
very,
concept?
Yeah, I understand those concepts. Yeah.
Okay.
That's why you got to be really, really careful. The problem is that do we know the gravitational field well enough to do all of this right? This is the problem. But anyway, get back to the best solution for those very long-term things that you're talking about is actually Jacques Lascar, right? We've been pushing Jacques Lascar for so long he claimed that he's trying to do all of this high-resolution thing for the last, you know, if he can even produce 2 million years for me, I'll be so happy. No, he hasn't come up with it yet, but I've been stopping to think about this orbital stuff because we're working on so many other things for a short time because after 2017, take a break. I'll come back again because there's another interesting problem. By the way, since you talk about all these outcrops and all that, I was so happy today. I finally get in touch with Randall Carlson. That's cool.
Wow.
He started writing to me because I wrote to him. I don't know how to find him.
I've been asking for an interview with him for a decade.
Oh, okay.
He's always busy.
I'll hook you up. But I finally was able. He gave me his personal number. I give him my personal. Yeah, here's my number. You go and call me. Anyway, I finally, because I was a bit, I just listening to his Cosmographia the other day accidentally. He apparently know a lot about my work already. But then there are many things that they say in the thing that irritates me because it's just like a bit lazy. You know, if they do more work, they would know this and that. They kind of so many things that is not so accurate. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
It's because he did all his research 40 years ago. He's got all these old papers that he brings up.
Yeah.
And
different guy. Like now they're all very interested in this solar flare event, right? Because Robert Schoch is also interested in those things. Well, that thing I watched like mad, dude. I'm trying to tell you, man. I'm closer to any of
Well, no. So Leah and I have spent so much time researching this topic on Miyake events. We've probably done like 8,000 hours of research myself.
Yes.
And it seems as if that we do have, like, not some of the crazy conspiracy theorists that claim that every 12,612 years there's a micronova. What we know from the tree ring data is these Miyake events happen every 1,000 years.
Right.
And with the work of Plasma Universe, we know, and the petroglyph studies we've done, that these plasma images through the work of Dr. Anthony Perrott have been witnessed in the sky. They've been witnessed 1,000 years ago out here in the Southwest because we have all petroglyphs that are 1,000 years old showing this. They have been witnessed 7,000 years ago. We have a petroglyph showing the same exact plasma formations, and 11,000 years ago or 12,000 years ago. So there's all these dates of petroglyphs that were unexplained at one point, and now with the Miyake data, they line up to when these groups of Native Americans were witnessing them. And so everyone's like, well, how come if it happened during the Younger Dryas event, they remembered 10,000 years later? They didn't. These Miyake events happen every 1,000 years. We just had one in 775, the Charlemagne event, and so on and so forth. So I'm waiting for one of those.
Yeah, I know. Anyway,
because that'll make the Carrington event look like a picnic.
Oh yeah. This is a really strong one. But the fact is that we have seen some very, very high energetic events. I mean, these are basically the actual intrinsic sun event that is very, very energetic. I mean, I look into this super flare business also quite a bit because the Kepler result Kepler satellite especially the Japanese group, Notsu and all those guys have been showing a lot of very, very interesting high energetic event that is 10,000 times, 1,000,000,000 times stronger than the strongest flag we ever seen, right? I mean, it's
Right.
all,
And then the most recent one, when they looked into that area of the universe, there was nothing there.
yeah. We actually unable to put a bound. That's where the frustration of the physics. There's no one, we don't understand enough how to put an upper bound on this thing. That's why I will keep it open. I can tell you a very large event for the sun is possible, but we just don't know. I mean, it's interesting that this, by the way, this Miyake event is very interesting to be discovered. Exactly, that you will wash it away if you don't have that fine precision to do this.
Yeah.
To really, you will wash it away. It's all blow up. You wouldn't be able to catch this.
We're talking 2 years in geologic
Yeah,
time
very
being
fast, very
preserved.
quick. Yeah, it's all in the with little part. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. You know, my friend was doing this giant clam. I mean, they were down to micron subsample, and those we can track a hurricane past typhoon going through certain region and then bring the precipitation up, bring up stuff in minutes, hours.
In the clamshell.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. These are cool, right? These are cool work. That's why
Those seem a little better than tree rings.
yeah, I mean, those are much more interesting for meteorological event. Now we're talking in that paleo sense. This is the part that I continue to hook up with some of my friends in China, right? That even though you can see that I should not be going to China, dangerous. but they have very good data, those guys.
Those communist
this is the part
scientists.
where even US are way behind, right? We're just wasting time talking about DEI, whatever, all this stupid thing. And then and they ended up not doing anything. Everybody was just fluffing how smart we are, whatever. We're kind to everybody, whatever. It's just science going backward. Anyway.
All right, we're at an hour. We're at an hour. Leah, what did you want to say?
I was just going to say, you said something very important earlier, Willie, which is just about, having a moment of like, I don't know. And this is one of the big problems we have in science, right? We have all of these scientists who are completely unwilling to say, I don't know. Not only are they unwilling to admit when they're wrong, but they can't say, I don't know, which is crazy because being able to say, I don't know is actually a gift, right? That's the thing that opens you up to be able to learn about new things and to be able to take in all of the data and do a unbiased assessment. So it's really just a total shame, the state of science today. It's
it's terrible. And I mean, it's like guys like, well, here's another example. If you speak about Gavin, well, he's the director of a place and their place produce temperature data. But then if you ask him anything about all these thermometer questions, he refuses to talk about it because he basically don't know. He doesn't know these things. Mm-hmm. So he has to send his handler to go talk to my friends. For example, my two friends, Ronan Connolly and Michael Connolly, they've been to GIST to talk to their people, right? And then he simply do not know a lot of this data. But if you do not know the data, then where is your conviction coming from? Why are you so sure that those temperature curves are correct? Mm-hmm. Well, simply because we do it and it's no, please don't be so childish. It's not about that. We know that definitely the data sets that they produce have problem. And then they just refuse to, take a step back, consider alternative or find other ways to try to come up with. I mean, the simple step that we talk is the simplest one. By the way, this is golden age. We got really lucky in that sense. Because science will remember people like us. Because we are the one that did the simplest possible thing. Things that they should have done. I don't want any credit, but no one has done it. Think about thermometer data. Why don't we just use the rural data to start?
Right.
Yeah, because it's unadulterated. That's the most logical.
Yes.
And then they even, by the way, the step that is so sad is that they even fool themselves because of this problem in homogenization, the blending. They start using the homogenized data. The rural station all got contaminated and look the same curve. And then they say that rural have no difference with that. You understand? We got all of that. It's all cleaned up now by Ronan Connolly, Michael, and myself, and Peter O'Neill. Yeah, we cleaned up that problem. This is why it's serious. This is why this time when we publish thing is serious. I mean, these people, I don't know what else to say. I mean, unless they show that whatever thing that we did is super wrong, show me. Right? I mean, they won't even want to read our paper. This is the problem.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So not only not talking, they will not even give the benefit after.
This is what's happening. Like there are other scientists that won't debate us because we are completely opposite of them. They claim that we're rude or we're mean.
No.
And it's
Yeah,
because all of our data is exactly opposite of what they want to say.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, like sticking your fingers in your ears and going la 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 la, that
Yeah, it's
doesn't
not
do
going away.
anything for science. But this is happening across the board. It's happening in science, it's happening in politics, and it, you know, I think we've been set up this way by whoever, the global elites or whatever, to be
Yeah.
completely divided. People have basically been trained to not listen to the people on the other side of the coin. They just go, no, you're terrible, you're discredited,
Right.
you're a villain, you're evil, you're racist, I'm not going to listen to anything you have to say. And then we are unable to have a conversation. It's the saddest thing. We now have
Yeah, it's
people who
really
are living
hard.
in completely different realities. It's crazy.
And meanwhile, the science is actually walking backward. This is part of the problem. I mean, they ain't exactly have any system that keep the data information available. This is why it's so dangerous. A lot of these things. I remember I feel very, very sad because we have a data set that's so unique, which is you observe all the nearby within 100 parsec sun-like stars. We started the program with the first Caltech PhD in physics in all the degree, Caltech, by the name of Olin Wilson at Mount Wilson Observatory. We have about 100 stars that we survey. So every night, every few nights, we go collect data from all the sun-like stars. Just to ask a simple question: do all these other stars do the same thing like sun is doing? And we've proven beyond doubt, yes, they did that.
Awesome.
And not an 11-year cycle. They all have different cycles.
Yeah, but they have that quasi
they have variability.
Yeah. But the problem, and then young star does different thing. They're much more pulsing, and then they even flare. One of them, we saw them flaring during that night. You can imagine, so exciting for 2-3 hours. We were tracking the data. It was jumping through the roof. That's a real detection. Really detection. It was very, very exciting. We saw one. Wow. It's called MHT95735. That guy is really crazy. Anyway, things like that. So, but the problem is that by 2003, we really worked hard. By 2003, the program had to shut down. And the point is that it's calibration. We lost the opportunities to fully be able to calibrate into the future. Yeah. That's the problem now. I mean, yes, there are many new groups now. We all because now the priority is about to find out about home planet Earth. That's basically all the priority in astronomy and all that. Looking back, right? You know, and then, but the most basic data we have is all got cut off and nothing happened. We try so hard. I can put tears in my eye. How hard we work to try to keep the program going. All we need was just money for the observer to go observe overnight.
Man,
couldn't even make that happen.
Wow.
Me, myself, and my good colleague Sally Balunas, who's very frustrated also. We really give everything we got for science. Just that tiny little project. Another one, that was a sun-like star kind of thing. And then the program has to die in 2003. So it's really sad, but it's very important, our data set. That's why now everybody was looking for us to have this data set and things like that. It's really, really good.
So in the short period of time, you did prove that most stars are variable.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so let's close up in the next few minutes here.
Sure.
We've gone long, and let's do this again, definitely. But let's get some of the questions answered. We know that you're a little less enthusiastic about Zarkova. That's fine. What is your thoughts on a grand solar minimum in the fact that the last two cycles, 24 and 25, are some of the weakest since the Dalton? Do you think 26 could be weaker, and could we be actually dumping down into a grand minimum?
That I can tell you, a lot of this forecasting horizon, it may seem very simple if you keep using long cycle to push it.
Yeah.
So you have some answer, but it's not really. It all depends on other behavior. So I'm reluctant to do it. I'd rather do it one cycle at a time for now.
Okay.
I mean, there are a lot of this long-term modulation, but it is somewhat of a mistake to keep convincing yourself. Well, we actually did that because we have 120 years kind of window.
Yeah.
Right. So our 26 was low, but it's coming up after that. Yeah. So I can tell you that much. Right.
Okay. So another question.
If it were to have any climatic significance, I mean, so be it. If it don't, it don't. Right. But it clearly, it's important. I mean, I couldn't emphasize enough that every single tricks in the book they pull about making the sun go away. but it's impossible to make the sun go away.
It's
I don't know
ridiculous, in
how
fact.
much I emphasize. There is no energy.
We're
from
all dead if the sun goes away.
every single, I mean, how the wind move and all that, every energy all come from the sun.
Well, I mean, here's I think what's happening, right? Like
Every
the
energy.
current climate models don't account for the sun at all, and I think essentially what they're doing is they're behaving as if the sun is like a static variable in this
Correct.
equation,
It's a
and so
constant.
therefore we can just ignore it. And the part that is very important is that data set that you don't have now from all of the surrounding stars that show that they have cycles and that they change and they're not static, and there's no reason to assume that our sun would be any different. I mean,
Right.
that's
Not only that,
absolutely
we prove
critical
from that
here.
set of data to show that there is a lot of this circular changes there. You can catch a star in the monominimum, you can catch the star coming back up. We see a varieties of behavior like that. So put it all together in snapshot. I mean, you really have, quite a long series. I mean, for that one,
you'll have
right?
a universal picture of maybe what the effect is.
Right. So we have about 3,000 years of sunspot cycle, for example, basically. And it's a very interesting perspective. But anyway, yes, I would say that future climate, I mean, again, please remember what I just told you about a new thing that actually come out on the horizon that not on many people's radar, because I was just too deep into this. The reason why I decided to publish on sunspot again is because I see this guy are beginning to try to manipulate the thing.
Manipulate
so beware on that. So that's one point I want to caution. So perhaps with group pressure, these people will be much more self-aware, not to mess around too much. Who knows? I have no idea. These people, they will stop at nothing.
Well, it could be the new climate change, the climate conspiracy Nazi that went from global warming to now manipulating sunspot data so that we don't know what's happening with the sun.
If you manipulate the sunspot data appropriately, then you could use it to support the global warming idea. I mean, that's probably where it's going. It's probably there's probably a lot of pressure coming from up above to manipulate that data for a reason, so that the rest of us can't show that it's not true.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys seen that in a lot of publications. We always quote this statement from the so-called solar physicist James Judith Lin from the Naval Research Lab. who did say such statement about how the sun have to fit the paradigm of this global anthropogenic global warming.
Right.
I mean, she said that. I didn't say it. This is a quote.
Wow.
I mean, I'll find a quote for you guys if you're interested. But
I can't believe that someone can even say that out loud. That's just
but
crazy.
we caught them. It's one of those rare instant moments of clarity that you stick long enough that you catch them catching things like this. It crossed their mind. This is what these people are thinking about day in, day out. For people like us, it never even crossed our mind. We just want the truth, want to study. I mean, who cares whatever it falls, it falls. It's just that's what it is. But you cannot manipulate. You cannot try to go even anywhere near any such unpure kind of nonsense. And it ended up being really confused. But anyway, I think you're right. Diamond, time is up. That's about sweet and short. We're done.
All right. Well, no, I got two more questions.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. The magnetic field has been weakening since maybe the 1700s. During the Carrington event in 1859, the magnetic pole position.
You're talking about Earth now. Okay, Earth. Okay.
Earth. The magnetic field on Earth has been weakening for about 300 plus years. The dipole. And in 1859, it took a rapid shift in direction. It typically shifts every 50 or 100 years back and forth. But in 1859, it took a rapid shift and started moving towards Siberia, ever increasing in speed, while the dipole moment was reducing. Our current VADM, or how the magnetic dipole moment, is almost as low, around between 4 and 5, as it is accelerating towards a magnetic excursion like happened during the Younger Dryas event and earlier events, but not as extreme at this point as, let's say, 41,500 years ago when Neanderthals went extinct, which is the Lechamp excursion. But it appears as if we are descending into a Lechamp-like excursion rapidly. Do you have information on it? Do you have any comments on it?
Not much. The geomagnetic field aspect of it that I've been not quite studying too much on these things here, so I will keep it open. Pass.
Okay, good. All right, final question. Like all interstadials in the last 4 cycles, which go back 450,000 years, it looks like there's about a 110,000 year cycle in the ice core data where there is a 80 to 90,000 year drop down into deep glacial cycles with obvious perturbations the whole way. And then as dust increases in the atmosphere, and then there is an event that's happened at least 4, maybe 5 times in the last 600,000 years, which we call the interstadial, that we rapidly come out of these ice ages. Now, from the work that Lee and I have done, it appears as if it could be related to cometary encounters with the sun, resulting in Miyake events and warming, which shifts climate patterns on Earth into this interstadial. Or it could be some other cosmogenic source of nucleotides that affect the planet Earth, but it's clearly not from Earth. This is a solar system wide cycle. Go ahead.
No, where is the source of this comment that you're thinking about in the Utkaus? I mean,
it would be for the most recent encounter, it would have to do with the Taurid meteor stream. And that would cause us to come out of the last glacial period around 15,000 years ago, which they refer to as a certain warming period. The reason that we postulate this is because as early as maybe 45,000 years ago, there are these Arctic mucks which start to preserve mammoths. And we have all these perfectly preserved mammoths that date as old as like 47,000 years ago to the Younger Dryas event, as if a series of events caused major catastrophes in the Arctic, which, melt up the surface and catastrophically preserve these mammoths. They're not broken up. The mammoths are whole. The buttercups in the mouth is real, but they all didn't happen at the same date. They're all dated at different times: 47, 32, 25, 24, 12, 8, etc. So there's got to be some mechanism, because the Arctic, what we know about the Arctic is that in a recent peer-reviewed paper, we've got pure DNA that's been preserved up to 2.1 million years in the Arctic. And for any scientist like me or Leah that's a stratigrapher, what that means is the Arctic has been pretty much frozen for 2 million years in order to preserve that type of extremely delicate material. So it means that the Arctic has been frozen for millions of years. There has to be a mechanism to heat it, to get these animals rapidly frozen in a catastrophic way. And it's not all one event. So our theory was a meteor stream came in over a period of tens of thousands of years, and it culminated in the final event, which is called the Younger Dryas event, when all of the shit hit the fan or hit the sun. And we've seen, sun diving comets hit the sun, and at the back of the sun, there is a coronal mass ejection. And enough large objects with the right charge could literally create these Miyake events. So that is one of our hypotheses. What do you think?
No wonder I started to listen to Randall Carlson. Keep focusing on the sun grazing comets, that drive into the sun. You guys are way ahead, light years ahead of me on this one. Don't worry about it. I think that we should just keep studying. I have no clue what you're talking about, but it's good stuff.
Wow. We're outside the box.
2.1 million years. I kind of think that, it's hard to preserve this thing. Okay.
It's the oldest DNA on Earth. The peer-reviewed paper is about 8 months old.
Okay. I don't know about that one. Yeah. So
I'll send it to you after we're done here.
Okay.
This has been a fantastic conversation. One final comment. I want you to end us, Willie, on a comment about God and how it's important in our endeavors in science.
This is not
the pressure on, Diamond.
No. God is ever present, right? Yeah. I was just discussing God with another friend of mine from Houston, Larry Bell. I say that, I have a speculation and hypothesis that perhaps, remember that they just gave a Nobel Prize to those guys who were able to chop time into 10 to the minus 18 second. I mean, back then I thought femto was impressive. No, 10 to the minus 18 to tell the time interval. Well, we all know that space and time are connected, supposedly, by gravitational, right? The principle. But I say the only time that the space in which the sweet spot where God will exist will be where you know time stop right there. What is the finest, right? 10 to the minus 34, right? Planck scale down to that one second. Is it where that? But then in there, where the heck is the space? There's no space left for the God to exist, even stay in that. It's a very curious places. But I speculate that something miracle happened that place in that time where we ultimately will see the mind of God. That's why we're gonna really know something. But I don't think experimentally we're gonna reach there. But it's at least we can speculate. Maybe notion of time doesn't matter to God. There's another friend of mine who just wrote a book on his, he called it Every When or something. He said, yeah, he wrote a book like that, and then we have to translate to Korean and Chinese and all the stuff, crazy stuff. Anyway, concept of God is just too big for our mind for now. I don't think there's any human mind capable of understanding the mind of God yet.
I think that God explains why the universe is infinite and that time is local, and it allows us to experience this biological time frame in a very unique, very small subset of 3 dimensions, when we have many more dimensions that we do not really comprehend as humans.
Right.
And it's great. It's a great feeling as I get older to start to understand more about the infinity of that omnipresence, whatever it is, and how significant our little section here, this little time we have together, and what we need to do is should be productive and less.
But no doubt that what I say on Taka is true, because the realm of mathematics and this physical world we live in is very interesting, the connection, right? I mean, it just happens so many times. It has to be some maker that make this happen. How many miracles must happen before you accept God exists, right? I mean, it's just enough for me. For me, I just have to bow down. It's time to rest.
I mean, the way I see it is like, okay, that all of space and time literally is just one way of God expressing himself, itself, however you want to phrase that, right? And that within that, I mean, we live within that, and we have this arena with which to explore God. And within that, it's like we can see the beauty of God is there. We may not understand it, but at least we can see it, and we have an opportunity to do that because
the beauties are everywhere, man. Come on, you just look outside the glass, the cloud, whatever that you look. It's just amazing. I mean, it's really, in some sense, that the beauty is just too overwhelming sometimes, right? I mean, it's there. That's why it's much easier for people like us, I think, to appreciate what little things that we can do here in life. That's why I live it to the fullest. Do the best I can every damn day, every single moment that I do. There's not a moment in which I don't try to find ways to make better. Try. You just cannot give up. No matter how much evil and all this crap that you see out there, it doesn't matter really. It's all about, you got to start here. You got to start
in the heart.
And do it.
And you are full of heart. We love you, Willie Soon. You're a legend, and you've been an inspiration to me for over a decade.
No, I don't know the dipole magnetic moment. I don't know this and that. There's way too many things to study, buddy.
We're taking care of that for you.
Yeah, good.
All right.
Let me do other stuff. You do other stuff. We'll come back again. Yeah. So we talk.
Yeah, and it is a miracle that you're on our show after you were just on Tucker, for goodness sake.
First appearance. Just kidding.
All right, so let's do this again soon.
Tomorrow, somebody named Jerome Cosi want me to go on his show. I mean, and then next day I got another one from Switzerland.
You're going to be busy.
I never had these people calling me.
Oh, it's going to come. It's coming hard
it's
for
crazy,
you.
Man. It's okay.
Take a look and support Willie's work into the future over at SiriScience.com. We're going to leave you links below. You can become a donor. You can learn all about them, their publications. You can support them there. Willie Soon is going to be generating more money than the mainstream in the next year due to all of this exposure. We're going to get a lot of scientific work, some amazing stuff coming out from Siri Science. Support the science. Willie, we love you.
Yeah, thank you. I want to plug one more thing is that
please
just publish some crazy good paper on COVID-19.
Oh, I just told Leah about it.
Yes.
That seasonality thing, man. It took us 1.5 years. Those guys refused to let us print.
Of course.
Don't even want to review.
And every time you say something good,
we realize about the data sets that is actually a track of human coronavirus by the.
Oh, darn it.
Once we got the data, it kind of fit.
Yeah, we're gonna link the
So,
paper below that proved
yes.
that seasonality affected coronavirus more than any of the mandates.
Yeah, all the thing, none of them is truly working. It's all crazy stuff. Anyway,
We love you, Willie.
Thank you so much, Willie.
thank you. Good night. Thank you. Where do we
Hey.
get out? Let me see.
Boom.